Welcome to the Financial Freedom Mastermind Group podcast. Here we're all about breaking free from the 40 to 50-year work grind and accelerating our journey towards financial freedom. Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern as we explore different types of investments that can fast-track your path to financial independence. We serve as a hub for connecting with fellow members during our sessions so you can share successes, ask questions, and keep the momentum going.
Good evening, everyone. This is Niyi Adewole, host of the Akaba Home Financial Freedom Mastermind Group, and I'm excited to be joining you here on this Wednesday, midway through January. It's truly exciting time. We're officially in 2025, and it's kind of crazy to think that people who were born after 2000 are now 25 plus. Like, that's actually still throwing me for a loop. As I mentioned before, this is going to be an open session. Welcome, Justin. And after we kick off the quote and 3 questions, we're going to jump right into it. And so the quote for today is, "The person on top of the mountain did not fall there." And although it's obvious, it's something that we truly have to continue to embody and remember. I can tell you that I meet with a lot of people on a day-to-day basis who want to be at the top of that mountain, who want to have all the real estate deals, have the financial freedom, but aren't necessarily willing to go through the early struggles or the uncomfort of maybe doing a house hack for a couple years or things of that nature. And so if you truly want to be on top of the mountain and reach that pinnacle that so many others have been able to do, you have to be able to sacrifice, willing to put in the work, and really climb that hill or mountain. One of the questions we have, short-term rental versus long-term rental, which one is better? I like to do both. Honestly, if you're able to make a house cash flow as a long-term rental, that's the way to go. You could have hundreds of long-term rentals and not a huge team managing that, and you can truly build out a crazy portfolio. It's not going to be a lot of cash flow, but it's awesome because you're going to get that appreciation over time, and you don't have to think about it as much. That check just comes on a monthly basis as long as you vet those people right, and you should be fine. Now, when it comes to short-term rentals, what this allows you to do, and what I like it for, is buy in neighborhoods where a house normally would not cash flow, some of the nicer neighborhoods, and also being able to allow that home to appreciate over time and eventually make it to where it can work as a long-term rental. And so I'll give you an example. I actually, earlier today, one of the properties within our portfolio that's been a short-term rental for 2.5 years, we switched it over to a long-term rental, right? And it actually cash flows, or at least covers itself as a long-term rental right now. It's one of those properties where initially we had to go short-term rental, and then we switched it over to a long-term rental 2.5 years in because the rents have appreciated enough that it now makes sense. And so now that it's a long-term rental, we just signed a 2-year lease with somebody that already has an increase built in after year 1, and you really can just set it and forget it and collect those checks. So when you talk about top strategy for getting into real estate in 2025, I think it's the same as 2024, 2023, and many years before that. House hack. If this is the first property that you're going to be going after and you're okay with giving up a little bit of comfort, not even a lot, just a little bit of comfort, and living in a unit next to potentially some of your tenants, house hacking is still the best way to get started in real estate. I've been investing in real estate for over 9 years now, and I'm still house hacking. I just do more luxury house hacks, right? I go bigger, awesome neighborhoods, all that stuff, but I'm still doing it because it's hard to stop once you get started. You kind of get hooked. And so I plan to do it for as long as I can, probably until I have kids and those kids get up school age to where we have to be in an awesome neighborhood. We're going to house hack. And then how do you determine the class of neighborhood? A lot of people throw out letters like A, B, C, D class, right? And the way I like to look at it personally is A class is a place where you could send anybody, right? Like, I even look at it almost like a monopoly board. So A class would be the boardwalks of the world, right? And the park places of the world. This is where the real estate's expensive. You're walking around there, you're like, hey, an apartment over here is probably going to be the most expensive in the city. That's A class. When you look at B class, I look at neighborhoods that are maybe a short drive to those areas, or neighborhoods that are comfortable to where you would feel comfortable having your girlfriend, wife, and or mom walk down the street, but it's not that A-class price, right? It's not the rich, but it's solid neighborhoods. You could raise a family there. You feel comfortable there. I look at C-class as being slightly more up and coming. It's a neighborhood that is not a war zone, but it was a war zone maybe a couple of years ago, and now you can see it turning over and gentrifying, and you can see the path of progress. I put that in the C category. In the D category, I put as, hey, it's not going to turn over and gentrify within the next 3 years. We don't know when that's going to happen, right? And I tend to try to avoid the D class properties because those could stay D class for a long time. But Eric, Justin, how you guys doing, man? Welcome.
Doing good, man. Happy to be here on a Wednesday. Happy to make it to 2025. You know, hopefully everyone's having a good start to the year and we're checking off those goals as we get into them.
Absolutely. And I know you're of the same mindset with the goals. Did you actually write down your goals and kind of align that stuff?
Yeah, I got my goals for this year, just trying to make sure that I'm checking those boxes and I'm hitting everything that I want to hit this year.
I love it. I love it. Eric, what about you, man? And I got to see both of you guys in person today, which is great.
Yeah.
But Eric, what about you? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm excited for the new year. It's a good time.
And did you write down goals for the new year?
I did this time. Well, I normally do for the past couple of years, but this time I tried to make them a lot more simple than the years before.
Absolutely. Same here. Years before, I used to have one page of paper for each different thing. So realty business, personal, family, all that stuff. I read a book and they were like, dude, you're doing too much. And so I put it down to one page. So everything's on one page. I can actually remember it and I just keep it on my desk. Kanayo, welcome back. The lighting is still a little bit weird, but hey, we're going to let it go today. How are you doing, man?
Good, good. This means I need to move out.
Absolutely. I know you've been liking stuff and sending things my way, man. We're waiting on you.
Yeah, yeah. For me, New Year, yeah. I think for the last maybe like almost 8 years now, I think I always do the thing where I just at the beginning of the year just write down my goals for the year. Seven. Usually I keep it down simple to seven major items I want to achieve before the end of the year. So I did that.
Honestly, that's the best way because those are seven that you can truly focus on and you know whether or not you hit it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, okay, I've hit this goal. I've not. What I hate is in previous years, I'd get to the end of the year and I'd look back at the goals. I'm like, okay, I hit a bunch of these, but there's just so many that I forgot about along the way. And I'm like, I don't want to do that this year.
Yeah.
But what you guys got, man? What's top of mind?
I'm gonna drop off in the next 10 minutes. 10, 15 minutes. Quick one. I had an issue with one of my rentals. So we had this guest like last year, in mid-November, December, that stayed on the property, and this is in Moyo's house, which has like a lot of issues with the house. To be honest, that there are too many issues with the house. Like there's always one thing to repair or the other. The problem is the guests complained the next after they are checked out. They sent in a report to Airbnb that they had an injury at the property, which is like there's this drainage system that is in front of the house, like in between, like where usually you have the mailbox, like somewhere around there on the other side, there's one corner there that there's a DeKalb County water drainage system thing. So the guest fell into it and hurt himself, according to them. And they complained of some other things in the house and put it all together to try to get their money back from Airbnb. And I don't know if they got their money back, but when they put the review, I called Airbnb and told Airbnb that the claim was ridiculous because one, how can you say you lost your job when you're on vacation, on a holiday, on a weekend for an injury? It doesn't make any sense. So Airbnb took up the comments, but only for yesterday, Moyo actually got something from Airbnb cover that the guest is claiming damages and injury and all of that. So there's something like, I think maybe like a law, they had a lawyer or something. And never experienced that, but that's just a situation of things. I think that part of the property isn't necessarily the part of the property, but I'm yet to really do my findings to find out if that's because it looks like state property. So I don't know.
And when you say a grill, is it the white thing sticking out or it's something that you can actually fall into? And you said it's near the mailbox?
Yeah, it's a drainage. It's a drainage, like a drainage. Usually it's at the front of the house and it has like this round cover, metal cover covering it that has the DeKalb County on it. When you open it, you would see, I think it reads the water that comes into the drainage too.
So it's the water main,
I think
like
it's the
where
water
the
main.
main water line is where you can turn off your water.
No, this is like at the front of the entrance of the house, not the house itself, the front of the entrance of the property. So
Yeah, but it's like your water main. You said it reads so the amount of water that you're using.
no, I think it maybe reads the amount of water, rainwater into it. Not doesn't have. I don't think it has anything to do with water going to the house. I think it might be it's a drainage system on. It's at the front of the house. I wish I had a picture to show you, but I don't think I have a picture anymore on my phone. But
And my question to you, do you have exterior cameras?
yes, but that place, the exterior cameras do not get out that far because it's literally on the road, like just before you get on the property. So it's like on the road right before you get to the property, and the property is far deep inside.
That should not, because we've dealt with not this, but we've dealt with like plumbing related items, and typically once you get past that mailbox or even a couple feet in, and you get to where it starts hitting the city sewer, city
Yeah.
main, it's no longer your responsibility, and you're able to call it in if there's an issue there.
Okay.
But for the guest, are they threatening you as far as like the messaging with the lawyer?
No. It's just Airbnb actually just notified him that there's an air cover thing, and they're getting a lawyer and just trying to reach out to him to get some information and all. But
Yeah.
I think just that experience is my first time saying that, and I don't think that part of the property is even part of our property because there's even something on it that states DeKalb County. So the drainage system has DeKalb County written on it. The big metal has DeKalb County written on it on the cover of the hole. So I highly doubt that it is even part of the property itself. But it's crazy.
Yeah.
That experience is just crazy. But then we get these things where guests try to get their money back a lot on that property for any little thing.
That's the piece. And I've seen that a lot more of recent. I think people are just getting smarter with Airbnbs and understanding kind of how it works. And so if you have any little thing happen, they're looking to either get money back, get nights for free, get extensions for free. What I have seen though, because we manage a whole bunch of properties, is the more luxury you go, like the higher end, the less headache. Like you weed out a lot of those folks, and you're getting people that literally just want to stay in the house, or people like us that would go travel right to different places. You're not competing with the person looking just for price, and then looking at, hey, if this place is not, the Marriott or JW, I'm gonna hit you over the head for trying to get some funds back. At least that's what I've seen. Justin?
Yeah, that's been my experience as well. Like I don't have issues at my property. Very similar to you though. I do have where my water main is. The cover was off, and a guy from Booking.com said he stepped into it. He didn't report any injuries or anything, but he did bring that to my concern, and we just made sure we went out there and made sure that it was covered up. It does have a tendency to kind of fall. It's a bit of an older property, so like you do have those issues, but I would just say make sure you have those exterior cameras, and you could try to at least get them out. Like you said, this is something that's outside. But if you could get a good recording around everything around your property, that way, if someone is making that claim, and like you see that happened and they walked away perfectly fine, then they're trying to make a bogus claim, you'll have that evidence.
Yeah, I'll check to see. I think I checked that period of time to see if I would see anything, but that place is really far off from where our camera picks up from. So it was hard to figure it out.
Absolutely. How's the rest of your property management business coming? I know last time we talked about setting up some of the pricing and actually using Hospitable. Have you actually integrated it yet?
I used Hospitable for 1 month and I didn't even get an inquiry. So I quit. But then again, I'm trying a different cheaper one because if they are all doing the same thing, what's so special about Hospitable? So I'm trying, there's a new one that I saw that was a lot cheaper. What's the name? Guesty.
Okay. Yeah, I know Guesty.
Yeah. So I'm trying to use that one, to try that one too and see because that one is cheap. I think it's like $29 for 3 properties, something.
Nice.
So
the main thing is using something. You just want to automate as much as you can to make it easier. It's not necessarily to get bookings with it. Now you can when you develop the direct site and things of that nature, but it's to make it and make you more efficient.
Yeah. And to be honest, Airbnb has become a lot of all those messaging things. You already have them on Airbnb. So
Okay, thank you.
it helps that before, and because I do only Airbnb, I'm not on other platforms. it's I feel like now, just because I'm thinking about going to other platforms, that's what I'm thinking about, especially for the other guys like Olu and his name, the other guy. I'm trying to put them on. So that's the reason why I'm trying to even use Guesty so that we can integrate different platforms.
Yeah, honestly, that's the whole key of it, right? Because the more platforms you can be on, the better. And if you're going to be managing a bunch of these properties, it's almost your duty to do that, right? So there's, with our properties, we have the percentage breakdown. And so 60 still comes from Airbnb. That's the overall lion's share. But we've been able to get that down from previous years being 75%. Now we're getting about 20% from booking.com. We're getting about 10% direct. The rest of the percentage is coming from VRBO. And so it does start to add up. And the cool thing about using that system, Guesty or Hospitable or whatever software you want to use, is it integrates all the calendars, syncs all the locks, sends messages to all the cleaners, but then you're also able to charge more for different platforms if you want to. So VRBO, when somebody books, we just had somebody book one of our properties for 15, 16 days because they're working the Mercedes-Benz for the college football championship. And so they've been here this whole time. And they paid a premium to get these days because we upped it for VRBO, which is good.
Okay.
And welcoming Yvette to the call for the first time. How you doing, Yvette?
Finally, it was a challenge just to get in.
Hey, come on now. Teamwork, Eric. Thank you for the assistance.
Yeah, thank you, Eric.
But Yvette, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
That is good. That is good. And for anybody that joined the first time that you joined, we do like to kick it to you to just talk about your real estate portfolio and some of your real estate goals, if you could.
Hi, Justin. How you doing? My husband, Mark, and I, we own two investment properties, one in Decatur and the other one is in Southeast Atlanta. And our goal is we're going to start looking at our next property. I'm not sure exactly, what area we're going to be looking in. We did talk about maybe going out of state and looking at a vacation area. So we kind of have to, kick that around and see. But usually at the end of the year, what we do is we go through, all our assets, our financial picture, and basically we put it on a spreadsheet, like all our 401ks, just where everything is, some of the vendors that we actually use. So we have a clear picture of, the financial picture. What we need to do or, where we can potentially pull money from, for our down payment and, any other expenses we're going to need, for the next property.
What strategy are you using?
What strategy am I using?
Are you doing
Well,
long
we have
term, short term?
Actually, we have a mix right now. I mean, mainly it's short term. We do have one unit that's long term. I have to say the long term tenant didn't work out this time. So we're in the process of getting her out. And then we're going to have to reassess whether we're going to do another long term tenant or we're going to do short term.
And I love what you said about reviewing all the numbers at the end of the year. This is something that I want to say last year, or maybe the year before, me and my wife started doing on a monthly basis. We have like a financial dinner and we pull out that net worth calculator. And now one of the goals that we have for the year is where we want to get our net worth to. And it's not just buying stuff to get net worth. It's also just, doing the stock market, paying down debts, right? That's another way to build it. And so it's like an overall goal for that piece. And so how often do you look at this? Do you look at this on a quarterly basis? Is it once a year, once a month? How often do you do that?
Usually, I wouldn't say a deep dive. I would say twice a year. But if we're gonna do a big purchase or something's going on, then actually we'll have to do it. But I have to say this year is we actually really I pulled out the Excel and I have tabs for each thing. And I mean, this last year, I mean, we went through a lot of, changes, over, last 18 months, with the move down here, with my job, moving my 401k around. We do have a financial advisor that's still up in Massachusetts, but, we just had a lot of moving pieces. And for me I'm a visual person. So for me to really, focus, I had to, put everything on a, on a spreadsheet.
Something that I
Yeah.
recommend, Yvette, that I really like, is Monarch Money. I started using that this year, and it tracks everything on a day-to-day basis. It links with all of your accounts. It's very similar to Mint, but Mint folded, and now Monarch is really like one of the things that a lot of people recommend within Bigger Pockets Money. It's a community just like Bigger Pockets Housing that talks about money and financial growth and achieving financial wealth. So you should check those guys out. But I do highly recommend it. It basically does all the let work of the spreadsheets and everything for you. You know, you
Mhm.
can track all of your assets. You can see all the money that's going in and coming out. I have it separated to where I can see the personal income versus the business income. It categorizes everything and it makes it really easy when we get to tax time because everything
Mhm.
has already been categorized throughout the year once you set all those rules and everything for the purchases in which you're making.
Right.
Okay. And speaking of tax time, this is I know a lot of people's favorite time of year, right? When when we got to figure out how much we owe and actually start distributing that to Uncle Sam.
I'm
And
excited. I'll seg this year, so I'm ready for tax time.
Oh, you did one.
No, I'm doing one. I mean, I haven't filed my taxes yet, but yeah, that's the plan. Try to do that cost seg and, put those dollars towards the next property. So I'm excited for tax time this year.
Love it. Love it. And to that point, Eric, Yvette, have you guys gone down that cost seg route?
No. Mm-mm.
Is it something you've considered?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And as you
Yeah.
know, I mean, we're using your CPA. We have signed up with him. So,
Yep. Yep. And he actually has a cost segregation company that can help with that. And so we're going down the path, and this just reminded me, I need to shoot them an email like ASAP because they're going to get busy. Um, but I'm excited too, Justin, because we get to cost seg the self storage. For last year's taxes, we couldn't do it because it wasn't yet put into service. But this past year, we actually started taking income. And so that's going to be a huge negative. And so essentially it's gonna be like I didn't make any money last year, which is great. So super excited about that. But to your point, you have to put it to work. You got to take those dollars and go put it to work somewhere.
Yeah, and if you didn't have enough income, you could always carry those losses forward. So sometimes it's a little bit better to go ahead and do it because the amount that you can do is decreasing every year. Trump did the bonus depreciation 100, 2 years ago, then it went to 80, then it's going to 60, then 40, so on and so forth.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think there was talks about bringing it back to 100%. Do you know if that actually happened or not so much?
From my understanding, it hasn't happened yet. So I mean, I guess if it comes back, maybe you could shoot yourself in the foot if you do it too early. I'm not sure how that's going to quite work out.
That's fair. That is fair. What else you guys got? Anything's top of mind?
How are you feeling about these rates? Everybody was raving about rates are going to come down, and rates were actually lower about what a year ago, this same time last year, because that's when we bought in November. And like now, I look at rates; they're at 7, and we bought it around 6%. So, are these rates ever going to move, or should people just kind of lock in and make sure that they're penciling things that work with these rates versus trying to hope for a rate cut?
Honestly, it's crazy. Like the way it was trending was, hey, it's going to come down. And if it was a different administration that was coming into office, I'd still think it was going to trend down because it was going to be more of the same. But with some of the policies that have been proposed, you can see it in the stock market. Like they're already starting to price in, like, hey, we believe inflation is going to start going up. And so I don't know that these rates are going to come down anytime soon. The Fed's saying they're only going to do 2 cuts this year, and the bond yield just continues to rise. So I'm honestly, it's one where I think for investors, this is going to be an opportunity for going after some of those houses that have been sitting for a while. Because now these sellers are not going to have the rest of the market to turn to. So you can really put together a pretty cool deal. But for the buyers looking to just go buy a regular house, like their first regular house, they may be on the sidelines for a lot longer. Yvette, what are your thoughts?
No, we were talking about this with a client the other day, the same thing you were saying with the administration coming in. I don't think so. I think it's going to take a while. Maybe towards the end of, the year, maybe. But we just don't know. With everything, he's in trying to pass, that's going to cost money. So, you know.
Eric, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're able to find deals that pencil in, it's always a good time to buy. And I think there's always also like trade-offs with like the rates. Like if the rates, they're lowering the rates, they're normally lowering it for a reason, because then maybe the economy is like weaker, and such like that. So, that's not necessarily, that may affect you in other ways if you're looking at it too. And I think also too, if we all invest in real estate, like inflation is actually somewhat good for real estate prices in like the long term as well, especially if we're like net debtors, because we're going to pay our money back with, dollars that are worth less in the future. So, higher inflation is also good for us in a way too.
True. It's good for the people that have assets. It's really not good for those that are trying to get there first. And so that's something to keep an eye on too, that wealth gap. It truly is eliminating that middle class and making it the have and the have nots. And I would much rather be on the have side. But I'm hoping that some of the things they're talking about with, hey, let's eliminate some of the debt from the government actually comes to fruition. I just don't know what that would look like.
Yeah. Hoping this, but I've been looking at the market, trying to find deals that pencil. To be honest, man, it's been pretty hard to find things on the MLS that make sense. I'm a multifamily guy now at the living in one house hack, so I've been looking for another multifamily deal, and I just haven't came across anything that makes sense. And I've widened my net to all of Georgia. Like I don't really want to go outside of Georgia. I want to be, if I have to, in a pinch, get to the property just for where I'm at in my real estate journey right now. So I want to be at least 3 to 4 hours if I had to in a pinch drive down there. But I just haven't been able to find anything that really works.
Yeah. And one of the things that is popping up in the recent deals that we've done is vacation home loans used to be an awesome way to get a short-term rental, right? You put down 10%. The rate used to match similar to what you would get for a personal home. We know a couple years ago they took that piece away, right? Because they wanted to make it more even playing field for first-time home buyers, things of that nature. And so the rate now matches what you would get for like an investment loan. So it's a bit higher. But recently, like over the last month and a half, now they've increased the amount of closing costs to use a vacation loan. And so it used to be roughly about 3% closing costs. And so when we do an awesome job of negotiating 6% from the seller, the other 3% we're buying down interest rate. We're using it for other things. Now, on the past 3 deals that we've closed, it literally is all going toward closing costs. Closing costs have been about 6% because you have to buy down like 3 points, which is nuts. And so the Fed, the government's doing what they can to try to help with the housing crisis. But as investors, it's making it tougher and tougher. And I can't help but look at other countries that have been around a lot longer than the US and see what their home ownership rate is. And I mean, it's hard to touch anything, right? I was looking at like some Netflix shows about like housing in Paris and London. And I'm like, dude, these prices are nuts for what they're getting. And I think we're heading toward that way if the market stays how it is. But guys, anything else top of mind before we wrap for tonight?
Next deal you got, if you need some help, I'm down. I'll
Come
partner.
on now. Hey, let's do it. I'm going to hold you to that. I hope everybody has an awesome Wednesday. Yvette, good to see you on. Eric, good to see you on. And we will catch you a little bit later.
All right. See you all later. Thanks.
See you guys.
Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern as we explore different types of investments that can fast track your path to financial independence.